So I'm here with Brian Mitchell. We're here at your house here, and let's get straight into it. You are taking you're going back into management again, shall we say. You've taken on a new kid called Aiden Quinn. He's going to be debuting on May 10th. Talk to us why you decided to go for him, and basically what's the plan?
Well, I've basically been in the background with managing fighters all the time. Because I managed Cassius Palloy, I managed Harry Simon, I managed Junior Makabu, I managed some big boys in my time. But I'm more the spokesperson for Golden Gloves, as you know, the commentator for Supersport. I saw this youngster, Aiden Quinn, and I met him and I spoke to him, and Jeff Ellis had told me about him. And I thought, why not? Let me get back into management and see how it works. And Aiden's a great guy to manage. He's never had a fight yet, as you said. 10th of May will be his first. But his work ethic is unbelievable. He reminds me of a young Brian Mitchell. He trains 3-4 hours a day, every day, and he works hard. He sends me everything he does, and I compliment him back on that, and I give him advice. And yeah, it's great to be back in managing fighters. Aiden Quinn, 10th of May.
It's going to be a bit difficult commentating on your own guys' fights, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that too biased, you know.
That does make it a bit different. You know, I've managed Corey Saunders in my time. I've managed great fighters, and I've had to commentate on these guys. So it does make a difference. But I think I can sit on the fence because I have to. You know, at the end of the day, the people are watching the fight. Supersport's paying me to do a job, and I need to be unbiased. So I watch the fight and I call it as it is. In fact, if it's a close, very close round, I'll give it to the other guy, who's a fighter that I'm not managing. So that's how I work as a commentator. It's going to be tough, yeah, because Aiden Quinn is like one of my kids now.
So, with regards to his situation, he's based in Cape Town, but he's got a bit of altitude. He's training up here now. How much of a say do you have in what he ends up doing, where he goes and trains and so forth, things like that?
Well, he's got Matt Leisha in Cape Town, so who's his trainer. I suggested to him that he comes back to Joburg, because Joburg is where it happens. I mean, this is where the main trainers are, where Rodney Berman is, Supersport. The big boys are in Joburg. Yeah. So I suggested he comes back to... He is a Joburg boy, actually. Yeah. So he's from Johannesburg, and we need to get him back here.
Okay, now let's go towards your career now, and obviously there's so much to talk about. It's we wouldn't be able to fit it into the whole interview, but let's try to pick segments now. And let's go to you as a boxer before we get to you as a commentator and as a media personality. You as a boxer, favorite fights?
My favorite fight that I competed in?
Yeah.
There's so many. Tony Lopez has to stick out. I mean, because that was Alfreda Lane, beating Alfreda Lane at Sun City in 1986 in front of my own people. The only world title fight I'd have in South Africa. 7,000 people standing on their chairs. It was incredible. On the 27th of September 86, when I knocked the world champion down 3 times in the 10th round. So Alfreda Lane, and then the end of my career, 5 years later, beating a guy like Tony Lopez. That was mind-boggling. Yeah, I've got a few. I mean, Azuma Nelson, I would love to have fought. Yeah. You know, Azuma Nelson and myself have got a common opponent in Jim McDonald. I beat Jim McDonald on points, and Azuma Nelson knocked him out in the 12th. But he was actually ahead on points against Azuma Nelson. They asked Jim McDonald afterwards, what does he think? He said he thinks Mitchell, he thinks I would have beaten him on points because I could take a punch and I would have outboxed him. But it's a fight that I would really have loved to have had, because today if I compare the best fighters from Africa, Azuma Nelson's name is above mine, which I'm not happy about. You know, I retired undefeated, I was WBA and IBF champion. And I think I did everything I had to do. I'm the only South African boxer in the Hall of Fame. But I would love to have fought Azuma Nelson.
There was a guy that was asked a question about, you know, and your name came up as the one guy that he wanted to fight but never got the opportunity. That was Joey Gamashi. And obviously he wants to fight. Unfortunately, I think he got into a car accident or something like that.
Yeah, what happened with Joey Gamashi? I was supposed to fight him at one time, and then the fight never materialized. But then after I beat Tony Lopez, he moved up to lightweight. And he beat Joey Gamashi. He actually knocked Joey Gamashi out. So, yeah, I don't think Joey Gamashi would have been a tough fight.
Your sort of worst fight that you felt that maybe you won the fight, but you didn't feel like you gave it your all, or you didn't perform well?
I thought all my non-title fights when I came back to South Africa, I was desperate to fight here, so I fought in non-title fights here. I had 2 non-title fights here. The one guy was a Roscoe, he was a tall spoiler. I didn't think I looked good, but I didn't feel I could get up for a non-title fight. A world championship fight, I put everything on the line and I got up for it. And I just thought non-title fights wasn't the real deal. So it wasn't my best fights, the non-title fights.
The best trainer you've worked with?
I got to be Harold Volbrecht by a mile. Harold Volbrecht was unbelievable. I loved Willie Terwell. Willie Terwell was my first trainer, took me to a South African championship. And then I had Carlos Giacomo, who's a great manager, got me my first world title fight. Harold Volbrecht was a legend.
Do you still think that, I mean, now talking in today's day and age, does Harold still have the energy and the drive to produce more world champions?
Yeah, I think Harold does. You know, guys, it's a phase. Because it also depends what fighter you got. I've always said, and this is not knocking great trainers, because there are great trainers in the world. A fighter makes a trainer. A trainer doesn't make a fighter. The great Angelo Dundee had Muhammad Ali, had Sugar Ray Leonard. Those guys made him. And as great as Harold Volbrecht is, fighters make trainers. So Harold doesn't have great fighters anymore, unfortunately. But it is a cycle. You have the late, great Nick Durant. He had the best fighters. You got the Smiths today, have got good fighters. You got a guy like Colin Nathan's not bad. And Harold doesn't have the fight. But if a good fighter goes to Harold Volbrecht, he's the best.
Let's talk about your commentary now. Let's move on to the next phase of your life. The best fights that you've commentated, or your favorite fight that you've commentated. Which one?
Yes, I mean it's a good question. I've been commentating for many years. I love commentating. I love working in Supersport, a great company. Every fight's great to commentate, you know, because it's all different. You get a boxer against a fighter, and you get a fighter against a fighter, and I just think I enjoy commentating every fight. A knockdown and a knockout is nice to commentate because you can get onto the next level, you can get excited.
Absolutely.
So I would say no fight in particular, but knockouts are nice to commentate.
Do you miss traveling to commentate? Like before, you used to get the trip to Monaco and that sort of thing. Do you miss those sort of excursions?
I do. You know, I'm hoping Rodney Berman gets the contract back with Monte Carlo because it is always nice to go there. It's a different level. It's very classy. Not that it's not classy at Empress Palace or East London. It's just a different level. You know, the people actually at Monte Carlo aren't even boxing fans. It's all these people with so much money. They just come there to watch the boxing. But it's just a different level of class commentating in Monte Carlo.
And then let's talk about this next event, 10th of May. Obviously, you're the spokesperson for it. Which are the fights in your mind that stick out?
Well, it's a very good tournament because it's a lot of good youngsters. Aidan Quinn obviously making his pro debut. Rowan Campbell is the main fight. It's a good tournament. It's showcasing a lot of the youngsters. The
fight that's stood out in a lot of people's mind is Brandon Taser against Boyd Allen. It seems to be a sort of a pick-me fight between the two of them, and a lot of people are talking about MMA. Is Boyd Allen ready for Brandon Taser? Is Brandon Taser still the old Brandon Taser? So, what do you think of those points?
Well, definitely. I mean, this is it's make or break for both fighters because Brandon Taser's at 11 fights, he's won 10 of them. He didn't look good in the fight that he lost. Boyd Allen's still got to prove himself. He's 3-0. He was good in the cage. He's good in the ring. He's got good technique. And this is it's not make or break, but this is going to tell who's going forward, Boyd Allen or Taser.
Absolutely. I hate, as you said before, you don't like comparing. We said off camera, you don't like comparing errors and so forth. But today's boxers versus the yesteryear boxers, what do you say on that?
Zero chance. I don't know what it is, but boxing hasn't evolved. The guys from the 80s, Leonard, Hearns, Hagler, Duran, the guys from the 70s, Ali, Foreman, Norton, Fraser, the Tysons, the Lennox Lewises, the Brian Mitchells, the Dingaan Tobellas, the Vianney Bungus, the guys can't compare with us today.
What do you think about when you mention guys like Vasyl Lomachenko? Now these guys could possibly have competed, and Terence Crawford and the Mayweathers, these guys could have competed in any generation. Would you agree with that?
Yes and no. Lomachenko, yes, definitely. Lomachenko, he's definitely evolved boxing. But I don't think the other guys, I don't think the Crawfords and even the Spencers, I don't think they beat the Sugar Ray Leonards of the world or the Roberto Durans in their prime.
I think Rodney's been working on getting some boxers going to the USA. You mentioned it in the press conference when we had Anton Gilmore's gym. How good is the opportunity to fight Wednesday night fights in your opinion?
It's a good opportunity. It's a great idea. What I think about South African boxing right now, even after everything I've said about the 80s fighters, I think it's come well. I think the economy is a big problem as well. People need money. The good youngsters are coming out of every township, out of every town, and they're coming through the ranks. So you're going to see fighters like the 80s in the near future again. And the great thing is that America's opened its arms to us. It's going to allow us to fight on the Wednesday night fights, and I look forward to that.
Without giving away too much, because you obviously get involved in a lot of the behind the scenes things at Golden Gloves. You hear things but perhaps other people don't hear. Are things looking good and on the up at Golden Gloves, or is it sort of a stage now where it's looking towards the end? What's the
No, it's far from the end. I think the knockers of Golden Gloves have been saying that for 40 years that Golden Gloves has been operating, that Golden Gloves is going backwards and they're doing this bad and they're doing that bad. That's just jealousy. I mean, Golden Gloves is operating. They're on the up and up. There's a big horizon out there in America. Empress Palace are doing a great job, and Golden Gloves is definitely making things happen.
In an industry that you work in, and I work in, and several other people work in, often criticism gets put on everyone. Everyone's received it. How do you receive criticism? Because obviously, as I said, everyone's received it, and everyone needs to get used to it. For up and coming guys like myself, like a few of the other younger journalists, how do you take criticism?
Yeah, it's tough because we all feel it. We all got egos, and we all feel it if you get criticized. I get criticized now and then about my commentary, but it's also it's the jealous people. At the end of the day, as long as you know you're doing what you have to do right, do it, because you're always going to get criticized. I mean, when I commentate, whether I'm managing a fight or not, normally it's not. You got two guys fighting each other. The one guy's got his stable of supporters, and the other guy's got his stable. Somebody's not going to like me because I'm gonna call what I see. So I try and be honest. I try and call it as I see it. And if I get criticized for that, then I've got to take it on the chin. But constructive criticism is great. But there's a lot of clowns out there that aren't constructive.
For sure. Yeah. So that's. Of course, before I need to ask this question. Your legacy as the best South African boxer of all time, where do you stand on that?
Well, every generation should be compared to each other. I see sometimes young trainers, young fighters forget about my name when they talk about the greatest fighter to come out the country. I think the rule book speaks for itself. I think I don't have to be arrogant in this situation. I'm the only South African boxer in the International Boxing Hall of Fame. I'm the only world champion ever from South Africa that retired undefeated. I'm the only world champion that was never allowed to fight in his own country. And I think the record book speaks for itself. If somebody wants to put me number 2 to that, well, it doesn't make sense.
Thank you very much, Brian. Again, thank you for letting me in your house, and we had a nice chat. You got a very memorabilia behind you. It's fantastic looking at the history books. Is there anything that you want to add that I probably haven't touched on yet?
Hayden, yes, I just want to say it's been a wonderful journey. Thank you to South Africa for backing me as a fighter, and that's the reason that I'm also in the International Boxing Hall of Fame, because I had the support from my country. It's been a great journey. I was fortunate enough to be the MC for the great Muhammad Ali. I'm mates with Sugar Ray Leonard, I'm mates with Mike Tyson, and the big boys of the world. So boxing has just given me that journey, which has been great.
I think that's what it's about, making friends and enjoying life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love fighters, and in commentating now, just getting back to that, if a fighter thinks that I'm criticizing them too much, I'm trying to be constructive, because I love boxing, I love fighters. I look at all the fighters like my kids.
Thank you very much again for coming on.